this is our day. This is a day, an internationally recognized day set aside to celebrate women. We women are phenomenal. We women are awesome. We women are amazing. You talk about everything that you can think about. There is no way you are not going to talk about women. Well, I am not alone in the studio. I am with Precious, and I made it a point not to mention her last name. Because I don't want to be...
I was waiting for that.
You were waiting for that moment.
Eagerly waiting for that.
Well, I am Liseli Kanyanga Mubanga, and I am with my colleague Precious Sakaleji. Got you?
Okay. That's a good one. Happy Women's Day to you.
Happy Women's Day to you too.
Am I a woman yet?
Of course.
I feel old when someone calls me a woman. At least put young woman. Like,
no, I am proud to be a woman. I am proud
a young
to be
woman. I'm still a
mother.
lady.
No, we are women.
I'm a young, not a young lady. I'm past the stage of young lady.
My dear,
I'm a lady,
have grown. You are
but
a woman.
Young woman.
Well, I'm so excited, like I mentioned earlier. We have a fun-packed program for you. So call your aunties, call your nephews, call your nieces, whoever it is that you feel should be a part and parcel of this program. Please invite them and stay glued. But for now, we take a short musical break and join us on the other side. We get into a musical break with Nathan Nyirenda as we appreciate women all over the world with Mayo.
Mother, for all that you have been and for all that you are, I thank you. And with all that I am, I love you. This one is for you. Mayo, nimwe inyali andi pano panshi, nimwe tata. Mayo, kwati Solomoni, imfumu iya kwati shamano. Ubushiku, nafuke me panka sa shove mayo, no kutasha, bafintu wanchitila. No kulomba uwelelo pafiona kulufyanya fyonse mayo atile kanshafika ko ine kumulo ilelo we mwana nafika ko ile naishiba ukaticha chimbe uamweo uakumulu fikakuluke Fiancé, fiancé, umweo, shaishire, uwashiku, ukafika, umweo ati, uwapala, ulenda wino, amashina, bakwitile mayo, ifintu wapitile mo. Bakufyalwa kwandi bamwansa kifilamba mwaponeshe imiso wa mwalilile bakuti inembe kumukoweko no mwana obe munu mamayo mumakululu nentampulo shove ifyo wanchingilila kubalwani mayo amapepo ayo upepa mayo wanshafika ine kumulo ilelo we mwana nafika ko ine naishiba ukaticha chimbe leso wapweo fika kuluke yonse ifyaka kwa we mwana mumweo shaishire uwashiku ukafika umweo wati uwapala lesa intuke sala amensoyo bemayo nokulola ukwaba batata ukabebe umwana wenu alikula kabili embila Wanshila pachalo tafipendwa nefikumo no kumono na menso ya sansama mumashiwi wa sosele mumweo wa ikele nelio watile kanshafika ko ile kumulo ilelo we mwana nafika ko naishiba ukaticha chinde uyulesa uwa makosa nikakuluke yonse ifyaka uweome shaishire ine ubushikungo ukafika umweo uwa kosoko kaya ulenda wino
You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. And yes, of course, this is a special program dedicated to all the women out there that are watching. This is Camnet TV, of course, not just another channel. And this is the Women's Day special show with me, Precious and Liseli on the other side. And yes, of course, she mentioned earlier to say women are every unique words that you can actually think of. And I'm wishing all the women that are watching out there a happy Women's Day, and to myself as well. Though I feel I have not yet become like a woman. I'm like a young woman. So I would like to take this opportunity as well to wish all the women at Camnet TV, starting from our CEO, Pastor Victoria Chiluba, Lise Likanyanga, Mubanga, Sharon Kalimbula, Prudence Chota. Is Katamanda a woman, eh?
Of course she is.
Amazing Katamanda, and myself, Precious. Everybody, Miriam Kayamba, happy Women's Day to all the members of staff at Camnet TV, and every woman that's watching out there. I just want to remind you that you are unique and made in a very, very precious way.
Fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. Well, this year's theme is being celebrated under Women in Leadership, Achieving an Eco-Future in a COVID-19 world. That is the theme that we are celebrating International Women's Day today. So let's have your contributions. What is your special message to the women that have made an impact in your life? I know there are a couple of people that I can handpick and mention to say, okay, fine, you have been phenomenal. You have been an icon in my life. I remember my grade 1 teacher and how she pumped in so much wisdom in me. I don't know why the name has gone away, but
grade 1, I'm sure
in primary school.
That was a long time ago. Aren't we talking like 10-15 years ago?
A very, very, very long time ago.
Exactly.
When I was in grade 1 at Lusaka Girls Primary School, and that woman was amazing. She was amazing. She, even in the subjects that I wasn't performing well, she instilled something in me that I can never forget, even though her name has gone away. But I know wherever she is, and if she's watching, she's able to recognize me. And the list is endless. At each and every stage in my life, there are women that I can pinpoint and say, okay, fine, this person has been an icon. This person has been an inspiration to me. And there are certain women that have gone before us, that have laid down the foundation, even for us to be able to sit on this very platform that we are sitting on. There are women that have gone before us that have told us to say, you know what, it's possible. You too can be an anchor of a program. You too can be a newscaster. You too can be a journalist. You too can be a phenomenal businesswoman. You can be a trade.
Can be anything.
You can be anything that you want to be.
Yes.
So a round of applause to all those women that have laid a foundation for us, have laid a foundation for you. Yes. How do you say? You had to think about it.
No, like I wanted to figure out what tongue I'm going to twist
How many tongues can you speak?
I try to speak Tonga, Bemba.
How do you say thank you? Twalumba kapati.
Twalumba kapati wama. And Twalumba, and then in my tribe, which is Lunda,
in Lozi, Luitumeze ahulu. Ahulu.
Ziko mokwambili.
Yes.
Ziko mokwambili nyanya.
Hey, so we're limited. That's all we can say?
Unfortunately. So if you would like to actually come through and contribute on this program, we're asking what is that special message that you have for every woman out there, and who is that woman that you would like to appreciate. As they said, she has, her list is endless. Some applies to me. I feel like there's so many women that have said a lot of things about how life should be handled and guided me on how I should do certain things, and I would love to say thank you, not forgetting to my mom. Like, she is the reason why some people would say you have good manners or you behave in a certain way. It's because charity begins at home. So
of course,
our mothers groom us to be the women that we are right now, or the women that we are supposed to be. So would like to hear from you, views and contributions. Not forgetting, you can actually catch us on Facebook. That's Camnet TV. Just go to the comment line, comment section, and tell us how you are celebrating this day and what is the special message that you're sending to every woman out there that is watching on this particular day. And also not forgetting, Liseli, before we started the show, we were talking about the image that we were searching for.
Yes.
How women handle their days and how men handle their days. You find these career women, they've got a husband to take care of and children to take care of, and also a career to give attention to. But we're still men, so we're the iron ladies of this world.
Of course.
We're the iron human beings of this world.
Because you look at it from this perspective, even just for a woman to wake up in the morning, get herself ready for work, prepare the kids, make breakfast, make sure that everything in her home is in place, and then get to work and compete with a man who got up, had a shower, had his breakfast, which was prepared for him by another woman. And you know, his mind is fresh, but by the time you're getting to work, you are already exhausted.
Mentally exhausted.
You're already mentally exhausted. And you know, even as much as you are at work, there are a lot of things that are pending already in your mind. Not to say that men don't have it hard or anything else, but you know, we are just recognizing women in their own capacity and recognizing also the challenges that they're facing. Well, Zambia has made a lot of strides.
Yes, we have.
In ensuring that there's equality.
And women are part of governance.
Yes, a part of the governance system. So far, which I still feel we have made significant progress, but we are not yet where we would want to be. But we have made there. Yes, we are heading there. We have seen a difference in the way that women are looked at, even though there's a whole lot more that is still at play, and there's a whole lot more that we need to do. But for instance, which we can't run away from, the second highest office is held by a woman.
Yes, yes.
And we are seeing women CEOs, even here at Camnet TV.
Yes, of course.
Our CEO, yes, our CEO is a woman.
Is a woman, you know,
yes. Dating back to not too long ago, it was unheard of. It was very uncommon. But we are seeing these things becoming a reality. And even with the generations to come after, it will even be more normal.
Yes, of course. And also not forgetting, so just to add on what you have said, I feel now, in as much as we're still going back and forth with the gender equality, of course we can't run away from the fact that even the Bible itself says a man is the head of the house.
Yes.
So we cannot go past that. The Bible itself has laid that rule for us, and we should follow it. And we're fighting with the back and forth gender equality, and talking about the theme of this year, which is women in leadership. I feel women are now realizing the fact that we can also have positions that way back would only be considered as positions for the men.
Yes.
And also not forgetting, we made the headlines having a female or a woman as the first vice president. And not long ago, we were just celebrating United States of America having first black female president.
Vice president.
So I feel right now we are like, we are headed there.
Yes, we are.
Like the hashtag which says the future is female. Like you see more women in this position. Not forgetting the likes of Madam Zingamelu making the headlines, and also not forgetting in the political sphere where we have
Mutale Nalomango.
Yes, as the vice president for the opposition, the
opposition.
Yes, of course.
Party.
So I feel we are getting there. We're now learning to realize to say even women can actually make the headlines. Like we can be there on the map. And I'm proud to be a young woman.
It needs to get it into, you need to get it into your head to say you are a woman.
Because Akalengaba, it's like Mayo. Like what I quit that by Mayo. By Mayo by the sale. No.
No, but I'm a mother, so it's not a problem for me.
I'm still a young woman. I'm not woman. I'm still a young woman.
We will not go back and forth as to whether or not you are a young lady, whether or not you are a woman. But as far as I'm concerned, you are a woman.
Thank you.
Even though I know this compliment, you are not taking it as a compliment. you are thinking maybe I'm being judgmental.
No, not really. But anyways, like Lisa Lee mentioned earlier, we have a show fully packed for you, and we would like to hear where you're celebrating Women's Day from, what you're up to on this particular day. So we'll have a guest to come through and have this conversation as we discuss our theme and also how they're celebrating their Women's Day. Not forgetting, we want you to be part of this program. We're here to make sure that we celebrate all the women out there and recognize their work, both from home and also at a workplace, and also in Zambia as a country and the world as a whole. So we'd like to hear from you. Call us or go to our Facebook platform, like the page if you haven't liked it yet. I don't know what you're waiting for, because Camnet TV is not just another channel. And also not forgetting, what we would love you to be part of our fan base.
And also, have you taken time to actually think about the theme, how you as a woman in this country interpret it, which is women in leadership achieving an equal future in the COVID-19 world?
Well, how I can act, from my own understanding, looking at this year's theme, I love the fact that there's women and leadership in one sentence. So which is, I feel, they're recognizing the women in leadership and also encouraging women to actually take up certain positions when it comes to leadership. It might be at a company, it might be at certain organization and all. So having to have such a theme, for me, it's like they're now recognizing women in leadership. We're celebrating women that are already in leadership and also encouraging the young generation for them to actually be part of the future leadership.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, for me, I think I interpret the theme, especially what got my attention is the fact that COVID-19 was
part
added.
of it.
Well, COVID-19 has come with its own hurdles. It's come with its own setbacks, in the sense that we find that most women are now back at home. There's the issue of working from home because you don't want to be exposed to the virus. And, you know, we have seen escalating numbers of issues to do with gender-based violence, to do with child abuse, as a result of the COVID-19. So this has to be handled very well, in the sense that it can actually, COVID-19 has the potential of taking us backwards in what we have already achieved. In terms of gender-based violence, because now men and women are spending more time at home, and we have seen that this has resulted into an escalation in things that we were already trying to, you know, we were winning. But then now it's like we are taking a few steps backwards because of this pandemic. And I think NGOs and the relevant authorities need to factor in all these things that are coming into play as a result of COVID-19, which I'm sure they are, because of this thing. They do recognize the fact that COVID-19 has come with a lot of setbacks and has the potential to bring us backwards in the sense that it can actually remove a lot of things that we have accomplished as women. Yeah.
Yes, of course, and not forgetting, I'm glad you mentioned gender-based violence. Just some months ago, we received a report that the numbers have increased, considering the fact that majority of the companies were closed down.
Exactly.
And I'm just trying to imagine how certain women had to handle such issues, because they had an opportunity to go and work and run away from such vices. So now COVID-19 coming through, companies being closed, and then you're asked to work from home, going back to an abusive partner. It's not everyone that would actually have the courage to leave an abusive relationship, considering the fact that we're talking of relationships and gender-based violence. It's a marriage thing that we're marrying this to, and it's not one day that you just wake up and leave a marriage because of certain issues. Yes, of course. So women get to tolerate certain things and accept that that is the current situation.
So the financial muscle has been taken away from most women as a result of COVID-19, and then now they are being boxed and put into these situations that they can't free themselves from as a result of COVID-19.
Yeah, but a woman is a fighter, so we got this.
Iron ladies.
We got this. So now I think we can get to our conversation for today and our interviews for today. So, but before we get to do that, we'll have a song from Peace Preachers, and this one is called Amama. After that, we'll continue with the conversation. Don't forget you can be part of this show as well by calling in or commenting from our Facebook platform.
Nilikona kankani gatonto, akakankani sikachilendo. I'm sure most of you muziba kuti seo tebado hanyinji seo mukukula gwasu amama etivutikila iyepita mubintu vinyinji kuti seo tifike pano amama yenzo swala poko kona nanjala kuti seo tilye amama mwegwila nchito ikulungako mulungu wako kumbukileni amama mwegwila nchito ikulungako mulungu wako kumbukileni amama mulungu wako kumbukileni amama amama mwegwila nchito ikulungako
Wakamanga ayasuoziva inkani siya chilendo itevutika seote kapitamo ikuma mama anapilila benzoti usha seo benzoti koselesha wana wangu zinduzika ngale bwino
mama Yesu wakukumbukeni nikakumbuka siku za kale wote mwanda muliunga ndiyo mulie Yesu kwake lingalinga osiva tinafutika tina kapitamo kutola malasha pachishala na kuliondwa siku zose amama
Shembu yangu mbwende Yanzo hiva somba mumariketi Amama eniusha Mwana wangu kuiva sikwa mushe Sebenza zituzika wame Ufake mulungu pasogolo Elo futi amama enisiriza nzelu Etisunga mukanganda katonto. Can you imagine 14 solid family members living in one roomed house? Amama mwepilira Mwepita mpinyinji Lelo muliyeta emtima
amama amama mwepila chito ikulungako amama mulungu wakukumbukileni hallelujah pempero la sulelo tambusula nina pa mapanja yena chisinzi chanu lelo chatiwonesha kuoneka bantu ni kwanja yanu lelo chatilengesha kunkhala bantu Yesu Yesu
Tititingolalinga udenga wangu ya Yesu.
Hello and welcome back to a special program. Apologies for the sound right there, the feedback that we are getting from the studio. Hello and welcome back to this special edition, this special program of celebrating women. As Precious had mentioned earlier, we have in the studio a special guest who will be with us. I think we'll keep her for some time, eh, Precious?
Yes.
We'll definitely keep her for some time. Her name is Muketoi Sibusiku, and she is from the hustle of a woman. Yes. Quite interesting. I've heard so many organization names, but this one I have never heard of. It's quite interesting.
I think the name of the organization itself actually kind of explains.
Yes, it does.
It's like there's a hustle going on in that organization. Like a lot of women hustling for a better future.
Oh, yeah. Certainly so.
So how are you?
I'm good, thanks. And how are you?
Happy Women's Day to
Happy
you.
Women's Day to you too, and Happy Women's Day to all the viewers up there.
Thank you. So now, let's get into our theme of this year's Women's Day, which is women in leadership,
Women in leadership, achieving an equal future in the COVID-19 world.
How do you interpret the theme?
I feel it's more to do with creation of opportunities for the next woman. It does not entirely depend upon one person who is, for instance, in a leadership position at that particular time. It must be something that needs to evolve. It must be something that needs to be passed on to the next person, and then so forth and so on. So being a woman in leadership has much to do with you having that zeal in wanting to create change around you, and also passing on that change so that this thing does not come to an end. It goes on and on for the betterment of the next generation to come.
So it's like a baton.
It is.
You run with it and you pass it on to the next generation. Quite interesting there. Like we had mentioned earlier, the hustle of a woman, quite an interesting name for an organization. What are we talking about? What is the hustle of a woman?
The Hustle of a Woman Foundation is a non-governmental organization that entirely deals with women's well-being. It is an organization that endeavors to support the women out there, regardless of their status in society, regardless of basically where they come from, regardless of the challenges that they have. It's an organization that looks at trying to bring on board everyone, despite your background and despite other challenges that revolve around you. So we are sort of an organization that want to bring out the best out of every woman. We notice that sometimes we tend to celebrate women that are, up there. But you forget that there's also another woman down there whose story has never been heard, whose story has never been told of, but they're busy hustling to make ends meet. They are busy trying to, push things so that their children, so that their family, whoever they are responsible for, has access to what you and I are fighting for.
Oh, great. Now, from what you have explained, you look at women that have a story to tell and trying to bring out the voice that has not been heard. How many women are we talking about? And did you just decide to say, I'm just going to work on it? I'm sure you had a reason to decide to come up with such a foundation that looks at women challenges and trying to make sure that the voices are heard. What is that reason that triggered that? And also, how many women are we talking about?
We are talking about all women. Because if we are to fight this thing going around of maybe wanting women to be up there, or if we are trying to achieve an equal future, then we do not separate to say maybe this one is better than the other. In my view, every woman is special. Every woman is important. And every woman hustles. No wonder if you've been following us on our Facebook page, we always insist to say that we hustle differently, but we achieve the goal. So what you do is very different from what I do. It's very different from what Liseli does. But at the end of the day, what are we trying to achieve? We are trying to see that a goal in your own individual, rather personal capability and capacity, yeah, you are able to achieve that particular goal. So it might be education-wise, it might be business-wise, it might be family, wise. So there are a lot of things that revolve around us. And sometimes the mistake, or rather the challenge that I've seen around us women, is that you want to pick the best, not knowing that even that one that is left behind has a story to tell. That same person that you've left behind is able to come up with a story that will be able to encourage you. It might not be now, but maybe in future you might be able to learn something from them. So basically, when we talk about the House of the Woman Foundation, we are talking about an all-encompassing type of arrangement. There is no segregation, and there is right now, as we are talking about, celebrating Women's Day and the like. Have we gone down to the grassroots to explain this theme to them? If I were to go to Kalingalinga, I go to Mtendere. Trust me, people don't even know what this theme is. The only people that know about this theme is you and I, simply because maybe we've got a certain advantage to access to certain things. But then why not campaign that maybe going forward we also have those people get to understand what this thing is all about, what Women's Day is all about. If we go back to history, Kathleen, I think, the initiator of the Women's Day celebration, had a vision, because in those days, in the 1907, somewhere there, women were not considered to be equal. Women were considered to be less of, by the other gender. And so they were made to work very long hours. They were made to actually be on very long queues to get bread, to buy sugar and other things. And they were not even allowed to vote, you see. So it is from that movement that they saw that we are also human beings. We are equal to these parts. And in turn, that's how come Kathleen came on board, and then she advocated as a woman advocate to ensure that we have an International Women's Day. So what I'm trying to say is, look at where we are coming from. Women's Day celebration is not a 2020 thing. No. It's not a 2001 thing. It's not a 1999 thing. It starts as far back as 1907, if I'm not mistaken. So if we have people that really had the passion to ensure that women have an equal opportunity to such things, then it means we should not segregate. It means we should also ensure that the knowledge that you are able to get, don't use it to have an upload upon yourself. There should be instances where if I do something to help you, it's not always that I need to get the praise. It can be that you get the praise, but the effort is mine, you see? And like that, it makes things easier for us to move forward. It makes things easier because you know that even as I'm seated here as Mketoi, trying to advocate for women, I know that that woman in Shantumbu is also able to understand this theme. I know that that woman in Kalingalinga has understood the Women's Day theme. I know that a woman in Karikiriki, in Shangombo, in Monze, you know, in Choma, in Dundumwezi, you see, they also are able to understand that this is what we're talking about. So I feel the hustle of a woman has tried, because when we heard about the theme, we tried to go in the compounds where our women are, to try and explain to them what this is all about. And I think we are actually making strides. And if it were possible, I would have actually brought even 50 or 100 of them, so that they also help you understand exactly what we're doing on the ground.
Great.
Interesting.
So basically, that's that.
Where do you see the hustle of a woman in the next, let's say, 10 years in achieving your objectives?
Well, it's I see that it's an organization that will impact change in not only women, but children and men as well. It is called the Hustle of the Woman Foundation because we saw that women really work hard. I'm not trying to talk about the other gender, because we are talking about our day as women.
As women.
Yeah. So, as women, we do extraordinary things. We work extremely hard. If, for instance, at a household level, a mother goes maybe to visit at some village and maybe they take long to come, trust me, when you come back, you find that things are not the way they were supposed to be, simply because there's that missing part of a woman in it. And when you come, immediately you arrive, before you even start your errands, maybe going to the market and doing something, you want to create order around your home. You start doing the dishes, you start sweeping, you start, bathing the kids, organizing. So they're all from the woman. I think it has more to do with a woman being an organizer. So going forth for the next, coming to your question, like where do we see this organization in the next 10 years or so? I personally feel this is an organization that is going to bring a lot of change. This is an organization that is going to bridge that gap that's there between you and I. If you grew up in Kablonga and I grew up in Kalingalinga, I see the hustle of a woman bridging that gap of Ndinoko Mayadi. When you go, Precious, to Mutendere Market, I have seen certain women that come from the offices say bad things about those that sell.
Belittle.
Yeah,
belittle
you see?
them.
You would even say, why in gule, sininga gule tomato cream mukazo amenaoneka. So I'll give you a very practical example that I experienced, when we were doing our campaigns in these compounds. A lady who was selling maize, fresh maize, had a baby. So she was trying to change the baby's napkin and stuff like that. Then a lady of a very high caliber wanted to buy some stuff. You see, some food stuff, including maize itself. Now, the fact that that woman was busy attending to that child, the other lady that wanted to buy the maize from that lady got so upset and said, the fact that, you are changing your child here and then there's food and stuff like that, I cannot buy from you. And she did mention, because I was with her, she did mention to say, that's why I would rather naindogula vintu mu ShopRite. I would rather naindogula vintu muchani. So where does support come in as women? It's not that there is no. There is no support. There is no support, you see? Because if you can belittle me, then it means how much more, if I were to come to your office to ask for help,
would you even help
you
me?
wouldn't even open your door. So if we talk about gender equality, we need to sort ourselves out.
True.
Exactly.
It has to start with ourselves. Trust me, even in formal sector, in a formal sector, when a woman gets promoted, the first people that will begin to talk ill about that woman,
fellow woman,
is, so you get my point. It can't work. Meanwhile, we have people that fought so hard for
us to be where we are.
Yeah, for us to be where we are.
As women.
We have Catherine, like I said, she advocated that this day be made an international day. You see? if they were to wake up now and see that we are so disorganized, I think
they would really be pissed.
They would really be pissed, you see. So basically for me, celebrating Women's Day should have much to do with togetherness.
Okay.
I think as women we should learn to be more empathetic with each other. As women we should be more supportive to each other. I'll give you an example. On the political sphere. If we say 51% of voters are women, then 49% are men. Why don't we have a higher representation of women, maybe in parliament? Then it means maybe 10% of the 51% will not support you. So where are we going?
I once read a statement that said the biggest enemy of a woman is not a man, but a woman herself.
Very true. I agree. So I feel we should learn to support each other. Even here, right now, Precious on TV, I think there are even some people that say, "Nah, Precious soldier." I can't believe it. Abuela. It's too much.
Anyway, I love the fact that you've mentioned all these things that we can all relate to, especially the bring her down syndrome from a fellow woman, which is a bad thing and we need to work on. Now, and also you've mentioned the fact of the positions in let's talk of in parliament and also these other high positions in the political arena. So now, do you think that we are headed the directions where we are able to have a 50-50 position sharing in these high offices, considering the fact that we're talking about women in leadership as a theme?
It's possible. Nothing is impossible. Everything is possible if you make it work. Teamwork, I think, plays an integral part in all this. We can have a 50-50 representation if we just learn to support each other.
You made the Bill 10 fail where that was going to be low for 50-50 representation.
It had both good and bad.
So one of the clauses that were in Bill 10 was to achieve 50-50 representation in Parliament, but it failed. So
we need to work on it.
We need to put in laws because it's not yes, we need to go back to the drawing board because it's not about us just talking. We may desire as women to say, okay, fine, let's get to this level. This is where we see ourselves. We also want to have those leadership positions. But then what is the law backing us?
Good question.
I think the law will always try as much as possible rather to endeavor that things are managed in a way where everyone benefits. That is law.
Yes.
You see? So I wouldn't really say that we do not have the backing of the law. Law is law. No wonder things are set in place.
So maybe we should say political will, because at the end of the day, it's at the discretion, because the law it's not cast in stone to say this should be the case, that we should have women in these positions. It's about the moral compass of individuals that have the power to appoint certain people. So it's the political will. It's the moral compass that is governing us. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
I agree. Now, for those that are just joining us, well, you're watching the Camnet TV Women's Day special show with me, Precious, and the other side, Liseli. And we're just trying to make sure that we stretch out on what we're talking about today concerning the theme, which is women in leadership. And right about now, we will break at 12 hours for our midday news, but we'll still continue with the conversation. Make sure that you can actually come through as well via calls and Facebook comment. The number you're calling us on is 0968675273. That's 0968675273. Not forgetting, go to our Facebook platform, search for Camnet TV, like the page, share it, start a watch party if you can, and also go to the post that we are currently having right now, which is a live session of the breakfast show, the Women's Day show, and comment with us what is that message that you have for every woman that's celebrating this special day.
I know the question that I'm about to ask right now is going to take us to the 12 hours news, and then we can continue with the discussion. I know we have highlighted the fact that we are talking about women.
Exactly.
Yes. But then I would like for us to stretch a little bit and really dissect this issue. I don't know if you have realized, I read somewhere not too long ago concerning issues to do with women, that because the woman is being empowered so much, we are focusing so much on the woman such that we are creating, again, a gap.
Yeah.
And in the near future, if this continues to be the trend, we are going to have a huge gap in the number of women that are empowered as compared to the number of men. Are we empowering the men to be able to handle the empowered women? We are telling the girl child today that education is the key to success, that you need to focus on your gifts. You need to make something out of your life. You need to be something in society. But then who's talking to the male child to be able to handle that empowered women, that empowered woman? In the home, in the marriages, we have the women who are fighting to acquire their PhDs. But you know, a man is the head of the house, that's no question about it. But then when we get to that level, at household level, are the men being empowered also to be able to handle this empowered woman?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Okay,
we have we have a caller. Hello.
I'm from Mazabuka.
How is Mazabuka this morning?
It's okay.
Please go ahead with your contribution.
There's no doubt that women have decided to service the while in leadership. However, I believe each woman, like men, should be taken on our own merit and not just to be transplanted into a leadership position. For example, in Camnet politics, women, there's no reason to believe that women have added value to the politics. Just like some men, they are also there to service themselves. They are involved in corruption, they are involved in unleashing tribal sentiment to other sections of the Zambia. They massage evil like political violence and selective application of the law and so on and so forth. Why should you want to be just transplanted and put in a leadership position when you too can make mistakes just like men do? Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming through.
Quite an interesting comment.
Quite an interesting contribution, yes, of course. Remember, you can also come through on 0968675273, 0968675273.
So if I heard him clearly, what he was trying to say was the fact that women should be given leadership positions on merit and not the mere fact that they are female. Because then you find, he highlighted the fact that you find certain women in certain positions of authority that are not managing their positions well, but because they are women, maybe society is being a bit more lenient on them.
My take on that is, I think it takes us back to our culture, where we're brought up and everything else. You find that in a home, if let's say you've got two girls and a boy, and then you face financial challenges with regards to maybe paying school fees for that child, the first thing that will come to your mind is tentipunzise mwamuna wazakwatiyo. You get the point? So it's not something that you are able to deal with at that level.
Because you've grown up
with it. You've grown up, yeah. For me to even have, let's say, a degree, for me to have a master's or a PhD, it's because I found this thing when maybe I started work and then you realize, oh, my qualifications, you know, that kind of a thing. But in your growing up, even now, it still happens when you go to most of the villages, when you go to in the outskirts of, you know, this urban setup, you find that they also mwana mukaza zakwatiwa. So tipunzise mwana wa muna. But look, when it comes to careers, we are talking about engineering, we are talking about being doctors, we are talking about a lot of other professions out there. These professions are not meant for women or men, they are meant for people. When the government says they need doctors. They don't say we need female doctors or we need male doctors. When they need engineers, they won't say we need female engineers or we need male engineers, you see? So when you go out there, you go there as an individual, as a person, not male or female, but as a person who's going to offer a service, and you have a knowledge to, you know, to deliver, you know, what is required of you to do. So it can be, if a man is the one that is, you know, deserves to get it, why not give it to them?
Sure.
If it's a woman that deserves to get it, why not give it to them? So I agree with him where things have to be given on merit. You do not go there on the basis that because dine mukazi. Once you have that mindset of saying that because dine mukazi, trust me, you will start hearing of sexual whatever. Well, I need to impress my bossy, shan. But if you go with the mindset of saying, I'm just going to deliver my service, one, as a learned woman or as a learned man, then trust me, everything will go well.
Great.
Well, the other thing I also need to talk about is the fact that we are not in competition with men. We are in partnership. You see?
Yeah. Maybe just to hold your thought right there, we should be breaking.
Oh yes, don't forget that I've pinned it. So right about now, you are still watching the Women's Day special show. So now, as a day being a Women's Day, we're going to do a special midday news bulletin just after this break. Good afternoon, welcome to Camnet TV Midday News. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji with my co-anchor Liseli Kanyanga Mubanga. The headlines. PF disowns its Lusaka province chairman Paul Munga for threatening judges. Copper Belt residents complain of economic hardship. Details coming through after this commercial.
winners. Working, waiting, this what you've been praying for.
The details. Chairperson of the organizing committee of the Declaration of Zambia as a Christian nation, Bishop Billy Mfula, has expressed concern at the amount of alcohol being consumed and abused by citizens in a Christian nation. Bishop Mfula says it is sad to note that Zambians have now prioritized alcohol consumption at the expense of the growing economy. Last week, the Irish government, in a statement, ranked Zambia as the leading country of its alcohol brand called Irish Jameson. Details in this report.
The Eurometer Report 2018 ranked Zambia as a country with the highest per capita consumption of alcohol in the region. As if that is not enough, Zambia, which is a Christian nation, made headlines for being the perfect market for Irish whiskey. The Irish whiskey has increased its sales across Africa from 716,000 cases to 8.6 million bottles, representing 177% sales increment since 2010. However, Zambia is said to be consuming about 10% of the total sales in Africa, making Zambia the #1 breakthrough market for Irish whiskey or Jameson sales over the past decades. This means that Zambia is consuming more imported Irish whiskey more than any other country in Africa. And that is besides the illicit alcohol brands that have flooded the local market. And chairperson of the organizing committee of the Declaration of Zambia as a Christian nation, Bishop Mfula, is disappointed that alcohol consumption has continued to escalate in the country, thus corrupting morals among citizens, adding that it is behind some bad vices happening in the country.
First, the parents out there. Let's be good examples. How can your children be seeing you as a father going to drink, and tomorrow you want to tell them not to drink? How can your children see you as their mother going to drink, and tomorrow you want to tell your daughters that alcohol is bad? It's important that we begin to take responsibility as parents. Let's not be distant with our children. Let's sit with them and know what is going on in their lives, and let us become the first leader that our children can get to look at.
He has also implored government leaders to play a part in addressing alcohol abuse, which he said is affecting Zambia's social and economic development.
As well, who are taking life into alcohol, that as well makes the nation stagger. If a leader is drunk and staggering, the nation will stagger as well. We can't live life that way. So if you are a leader, be that example. Parents, do your part. And us as church, let's make sure that we also get to help the community, help the people, in making sure that their lives are really transformed. And also, as a Christian country, I think we need to relook at our policies as well around this same alcohol abuse that tends to get.
He is concerned over the mushrooming of bars in communities as opposed to libraries.
Can't we learn? Why can't we learn? In the US, you discover that every suburb, every community has a library. Some nations are structured like that. How can we be having drinking places everywhere? Yes, everywhere. Selling the cheapest liquor to the most expensive and making this accessible to everyone. We are staggering the country. And we can't live like that.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Random interviews on the Copper Belt have revealed that residents in that province have not been spared from the harsh realities of the economy. The residents, ranging from street vendors and ordinary citizens, have complained of the ever-increasing prices of goods in the province while calling on government to find means of ending their sufferings. More in this report.
The impact of the social and economic challenges seem to take toll on most Zambians.
Right now, to be honest, the economy in Zambia is bad. It can never even take a scientist to tell that the things are bad in Zambia. But to be factual and to be candid, things are bad in Zambia. Look at the skyrocketing of the commodities. Look at the dollar, how it is failing with the kwacha. Look at the price of fuel. This is telling us that things are bad in Zambia, and we are appealing to the government to address these issues before it's too late. And what is surprising is that while things are bad in Zambia, while people are wallowing in poverty, suddenly we have just seen how the cadres and the PF officials, how they have become rich, how they are showing off their monies on social media.
Abantu balechula mu kyalo kya Zambia. Akale kwale bati nga wasenda 100 kwacha. Kuti washita mwefintu mwakwata nokulya efyaku. Nomba inoshtate jushite muri 100 kwacha kuti washita mofeli mbyane eshiyaku. Nokupwa yapwa. Nga wayamu Shoprite na 1000 kwacha wala muleka kwati usendera 100 kwacha. Icho ekirangiro kyako bati economy ya kyalo kya Zambia tayiri bulimo. Ifintu na firubana mu kyalo kyesu kya Zambia mulando wakubati nga walolekesha na bashitata bene fye baleleta n'obusesani obulanda ngafuma kung'anda olukyero ayisa mu tawuni alekisabye ngayapa Stanbic pakona palya aleberenga ma newspaper ngafuma palya alayaberenge kona yapa pa Shoprite ngafuma pa Shoprite alayaberenge newspaper nomba pala pa City ngafuma palya alayaberenge pa Barclays Bank mpaka obushuku bwaira.
Random interviews with residents of various districts on the Copper Belt clearly shows that they are not spared. The interviews were conducted in Ndola, Kitwe, Kalulushi and Chingola.
The economy has become harsh and very challenging. Very challenging in the sense that the price of minimum, the price of cooking, the price of bread, rice, the whole household feeds, the food basket, so to say, is beyond the reach of the common man. It is very difficult to afford. People are failing to afford to buy these essential commodities. So inflation has gone up. It's very challenging. It's not pleasant.
And what is coming out is just the same. While the majority of Zambians feel hard hit with the economy, with the prices of essential food prices going up on a daily basis, some political cadres seem to be spared as they are publicly seen displaying huge sums of money on social media. These cadres are according to the Vice President, Inonge Wina. She says these could be the opposition and not patriotic front cadres. Kalan Muchima reporting for Camnet News.
In other news, the Opposition United Party for National Development UPND in Northwestern Province says the cybersecurity bill before Parliament is not a bad law. Northwestern Province Chairman Grandson Katambi says the bill is a security measure found in most countries in the world, stating that his party is only concerned with its implementation once it becomes law. Keno Katambi explains that many times when a law is being introduced in the country, it is always clear that it is intended to persecute political opponents. According to him, the bill may be intended to persecute the opposition, particularly his party president Hakainde Hijo, Chilema. Colonel Katambi says whatever the intentions are over the bill, those championing it must know that the same law being enacted to persecute others will be used against them also when they are out of government. The bill on Thursday went through second reading and is now at committee stage, with resumptions of debate coming up on Tuesday this week.
This cyber, soto, whatever you call it, you can give it any name. It is found everywhere. It doesn't segregate. It is a security feature to assist those who have entrusted with security to monitor, okay, what is going on. The good ones, they will leave. The bad ones, they will move into correct the situation. That's how I understand it. And it has been there, even during Kawunda days. But now, them, since it has already gone through reading, or second reading, and eventually to pass, you hear how many oppositions will be arrested as against their own people. This cyber thing is not for the country. It's for everybody. Now I'll tell you, God is great. Nzambe azali mukonzi y'abantu bose. Zambia azali mukonzi. Is great. Is great. Tomorrow they will leave that office, and we shall put him on the other side, on the receiving side, and we shall use the same cyber laws against them. So it's bad. You cannot run a country like that. It's a question that it's not a bad thing at all. I stand to be corrected. But it's the application which is bad in Zambia.
Government has released 1 million kwacha towards the relocation of households affected by floods in Chawama and Kanyama compound of Lusaka district. Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU National Coordinator Chanda Kabwe disclosed this when he undertook an on-the-spot check of the flooded communities of Chawama compound. Mr. Kabwe, who described the situation as desperate, says government has seen the need to relocate the people until the problem is resolved. He says the identified households will either be rented more habited houses or moved into a transitionary camp for the next 3 months. This is to ensure their lives are properly and protected. And Mr. Kawe says DMMU has engaged the Zambia National Service to work on the drainage system as a permanent solution to the flood problems in the area. He further advised the members of the public not to settle in flood-prone areas to avoid such calamities, as the rains will be getting intense owing to the issue of climate change and variability.
The initial 1 million kwacha has been set aside to try and relocate the people on a temporal basis for 3 months who are funded here. So the Minister of Finance has released that 1 million which we have in our account. So as soon as the 300 houses are identified here, we should be able to move the 300 families in those houses within this area. If we fail, we'll move them into the transit camps. Although the camps are more expensive than renting, because we need to provide a lot of services when you have a transit camp, especially that the number is quite huge. If you are talking about 100 people or 20 people, it's easier to maintain within those transit camps. But 300 and above is cheaper to rent for 3 months for the people and provide food for them. So 1 million, initial 1 million has been already provided for, and the moment these houses are identified, already the team was on the ground to ensure that those houses are identified, the people will start moving, and government will pay. So His Excellency the President is very committed to ensure that the people are supported. So we have our teams already and cooperating development partners that work with, such as the UN system, the Red Cross, that are already on the ground to ensure that the safety of our people is here. The Ministry of Health and the local authority are also providing the public health to ensure that our people here are supported in that manner.
And still in the news, the ruling Patriotic Front PF has disowned remarks issued by Lusaka Province PF Chairman Paul Monga, who on Friday warned Zambian judges that the PF was watching them over possibilities of them disqualifying President Edgar Lungu from the 2021 general election. PF the Deputy Secretary General Mumbipiri says the remarks issued by Mr. Monga are not in any way the party's position but his own personal opinions. Mrs. Piri says the PF upholds the separation of powers and respects the rule of law and does not tolerate statements that have the potential to undermine the judiciary and cause anarchy in the country. At a media briefing, Mr. Monga announced that the party's intelligence had picked up a scheme by judges who are convening with the opposition by getting huge sums of money with the view of declaring that President Lungu does not qualify to stand as president. In his own words, Mr. Monga warned the judges, saying the eyes of the PF are watching them at every turn.
The views by Patriotic Front Lusaka Province Chairman Paul Monga do not represent the stance taken by the party, as he claimed that opposition political parties in the country are scheming to bribe judges with huge sums of money in order to disqualify President Edgar Lungu ahead of the polls, according to Party Deputy Secretary General Mumbipiri. Mr. Monga had weighed in on the issue of President Edgar Lungu's eligibility to contest the general elections. The bone of contention has been that President Edgar Lungu only served one full term while he completed the other one on behalf of late President Michael Sata, and hence that did not constitute a full term. Meanwhile, lawyer John Sangwa and PF aspiring presidential candidate Kelvin Fube, commonly known as KBF, made it clear that President Edgar Lungu is not eligible to contest the 2021 general elections because he has been sworn in twice, and Mr. Sangwa is on record saying that once President Edgar Lungu files in his nomination, he will challenge his eligibility. And Paul Monga accused the opposition political parties of planning to bribe judges so that they can disqualify President Edgar Lungu ahead of the August 12 general elections.
But not all judges can be the same. Believing that may buy some few judges, nullify they can debilite our candidates. That's their focus. So put your money to play the party. They are busy putting money to see whom they can corrupt and judge to nullify our president. We are very much alive, we are aware, and we are watching all the judges in Zambia. Kindly don't fall prey to these monsters who have no man manifest for this country. Don't fall prey to these monsters who have no agenda for Zambia, whose agenda is simply to become the president of Zambia at any cost.
This statement by Mr. Monga attracted condemnation from a cross-section of society as it borders on intimidating the judiciary and disregards the adherence of rule of law and upholding the separation of powers. But Patriotic Front Deputy Secretary General Mumbipiri says the statement by Mr. Monga does not represent the position of the party.
As a party in power, we shall not allow any attacks on the judiciary or statements that have the potential to create or indeed promote anarchy and denounce constitutionalism in our country. We wish to guide our party structures to seek guidance on matters that may have a negative bearing on the institutions of governance. Therefore, the statement attributed to our Lusaka Provincial Chairman, Mr. Paul Monga, is not only misleading, but fell short of the blessings from the party leadership.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News, Lusaka.
That political item brings us to the end of the midday news. But before we go, a recap of the headlines. PF disowns its Lusaka province chairman Paul Monga for threatening judges. Copperbelt residents complain of economic hardships. On behalf of the entire news production crew and myself, Liseli Kanyanga Mubanga, and my co-anchor, Precious Sakaleji, thank you so much for watching the Midday News. Do stay with us as we continue with a special Women's Day program.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
takola shani ndemwa ine ndeti ndeti yawe takola shani mukuru wenu mwene sana filwa kunilondolola pavyo wanchitamu wewandi kamilumbe mwefu ine kale wanchinjishe shinakale ine ndeti yawe iba kale wanchitile shinakale naluyo lwimbo niwe mwapelo sma ine ndeti yawe shani ndemwa ine ndeti ndeti yawe nemitatakula shani ndemwa wanjitile shina kale natile chupo nimwe mwampele chisuma nabali abana nimwe mwampela basuma na ile nchito nimwe mwampele isuma neti ndemitatakula shani ndemwa neti 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 yawe ndemitatakula shani ndemwana himba kale wanjitile shina kale nalulo lwimbo niwe mwapelo lusuma neti yawe shani ndemwana neti neti yawe ndemitatakula shani ndemwana
Welcome back. You're still watching the Women's Day special show right here on Camnet TV with me, Precious, and Liseli on the other side. For those of you that are catching us on Facebook, kudos to you and thank you so much for finding time and sparing those bundles actually to stream live on our Facebook platform. And we mentioned that you can comment from our Facebook platform that special message that you have to all the women celebrating this special day today. Now, getting on to our Facebook comments, this one is coming all the way from Oscar Malimbu, and it says, watching you live within Lusaka, happy Women's Day to you all. Thank you so much. This one is coming from Victor Kabombu Chinyamvu, and he says, connected from around, happy Women's Day to all women. And Amezio Katamanda says, happy Women's Day to all the beautiful around the world. And then this one is from Daniel Davis, King Israel Muwawa Jr., and he's saying, good morning, happy Women's Day to all the women across the 10 provinces of Zambia and the world. I'm watching from Solwezi. Thank you so much. And then this one from Joshua Luando, and it says, happy International Women's Day. And then Kaswe Kaka Zamba says, happy Women's Day to all the women. I like the program, and the theme comes in good time that the nation is heading to pause. Women can make good governance, and I think corruption levels would reduce as women takwaba utwa kuliamo. They are there but can't compare to men. Men's responsibility are quite high, and utwa kushitashta tula fula. I thank you, ladies. Go, 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 women. Thank you so much for that message. Samuel Mwansa says, happy Women's Day to all the women in the world. We celebrate you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you so much. Danny Banda says, happy Women's Day. Thank you, Danny. And then Mwema Mulimba is saying, happy Women's Day to all the beautiful mothers and my adorable sisters and all women around the world. Thank you so much. And then Ian Savia says, happy Women's Day. Whew, mouthful. Thank you so much to everybody that came through on Facebook. You too can do the same. Just go to Facebook and search for Camnet TV. Like the page, go to our live stream. You can comment from there, or you can take time and call us through live on set. That's on 0968 675273, 0968 675273. Yeah. Ha.
Are you
Namani,
done?
Namani here.
We got tired, eh? We were just listening to you.
Oh, yeah.
Namani here.
Well, I'm sure that you have been following us from the time that we started the program, and we are still with our special guest, Muketoe Sivusiku, who is still with us and helping us digest and dissect this particular theme of Women's Day. And one of the things that we had discussed prior to us taking a break to go to the news was the fact that, you know, as women, we need to work together. We need to stop the issue of pulling each other down, because the only way that we are going to get ourselves to where we want to see ourselves is when we work together. And right before we had closed to go to a break, you had mentioned something quite important. Maybe we can pick it up from there.
Okay, that was in line with the caller who was talking about getting jobs on merit and the like. So well, I must allude to the fact that we are not in competition with men, but rather we are in partnership. If we are going to come out like in such ways that you really want to challenge each other, you know, then it's really not going to work. Because being a Christian, from the Christian point of view, God gave us different roles to play. So the female, or rather the women, have got their own work to do, and then so do the men have. So when he made male and female, he didn't create us to be in competition with each other, but he created an environment for us to work as one.
Complement each other.
To complement each other. So if I see that a man is not doing fine, I don't need to really step on them to say, because in Ndine Mukazi, so I can do better. I've seen through certain experiences as we go out to do our campaigns, and even in these organizations, you find that, you know, you are the only woman, or maybe there are just 2 or 3 in management. You want to come out like there's no other woman that can, you know, surpass what I have. I am super intelligent, I've got expertise and everything else. But then you're forgetting that even as you are precious, you might have the capabilities, right? But then there are certain people that will come and advise you on certain things. Not that some might even be more qualified than you are, you see? Some might even be more knowledgeable about things than you are. But that doesn't mean that you are above them. The fact that you are in a certain position does not mean that the others around you are not at the same level as you are. So we have to learn to complement each other. It goes back to what I talked about earlier, where I said leadership has nothing to do with who is more qualified and who is rather more learned and who has more experience and everything else. Even from that person that has not even stepped in a classroom, trust me, there's some wisdom in what they'll tell you.
Definitely.
You see? So at the end of the day, we should, the theme for international says choose to challenge. You see? We shouldn't challenge mpakachabe waone ati niliko muke should be seen that aliko. No, it doesn't work like that. We should challenge knowing that what I'm doing now is something that is going to benefit your daughter.
Laying a foundation.
Exactly, you know. There are some heroes that we've seen, you know, come by. And if you really understand or do a research of what these women have done, trust me, you'll find that their initial responsibility, or rather their aim was not to be known worldwide that, you know, I'm doing this and stuff like that. But when you die, the story that people remain talking about is what matters.
Exactly.
You see? So as we go on, going forward as women, we shouldn't do things because the Ndinemkaz, So if I go to organization kuja, they will say preference will be given to a child. Even with organizations, I've seen some organizations that will advertise and say preference will be given to women. I don't think that they mean to say that a man cannot get this job. If a woman has the expertise, is or qualifies, you are able to come and compete with the other gender for that particular role. Should you come out to be the best candidate for what they are looking for, then that job is given to you. So this thing where you say, some of us kind in mukazi, that's why choose to challenge. Not choosing to challenge by fighting each other or by doing things that are not supposed to be done. No, you challenge yourself. In fact, challenge should start with self. If I wake up in the morning, I should be able to say, okay, niendo gulisa tomato. From this tomato business, what I need to get out of it is profit. I need to get out of this business. Ndalama zopelekera bana ku school. I need to get out of this. I'm not competing with you. You see what I mean? Because you have a whole different business altogether.
Exactly.
But then, even if you do sell tomatoes like me, if I see that you are doing better than me, I shouldn't go behind your back and start saying, pressure, see? Boyfriend that and stuff like that. No. And why can't I come and say, my sister, I see that you are doing fine. What strategy are you using to do what? To make this business? Maybe she will tell you, in the packaging yanga is different. I use plastics instead of saving an amanja. In this era where there is COVID, ninagula koka phone. So ni maika talk time when a customer comes that inga phone number yao, then is over to me and ninga kule teleni like upon air transport. You see what I mean? So this idea of just because they said you are doing better than me, then in design behind your back, no, they said is this and this and this. That's it. If we are going to move forward in life, if we are really and genuinely going to fight for this cause, for the betterment of the next generation, then we need to change the way we perceive things. We need to change our mindset on how we look at each other. When it comes to morality, you find that even someone, Kapena, or even on social media, have been seeing these things. You know, the first people to comment negative things about that person
are women.
Is yourself. You see, you did well to do this. And in fact, these people. But why is it that when you go, if you look at statistics of bad comments about women, 90%
come from the fellow woman.
Exactly. 10% will actually come from the other gender.
True.
So if we are to get equal support, if we are to get the much needed support that we need to check ourselves. And this is an individual thing. You see what I mean? It's not something that should be done at an organizational level. It's an individual thing where you choose to say, I think I decide to make a difference. When we started the House of the Woman Foundation, that, you know, for me, it's not like I was subjected to things. But it's because I saw there was a trend of us women, when we go out with our friends, maybe we go to some market and stuff like that, you hear negative comments. When you engage a maid at your home, I'll give you a practical example of what happened. A maid who was employed by some colleague was eating to jam. You see? The boss said jam, nyanga. It was sukudiako jam. You see? So I don't know whether she really truthfully got a spoon or whatever and put on her bread. When the lady came, she found this spoon jam in the sink. And then she started saying nasty things about her maid.
Wow.
What? You know, all sorts of bad things. Me, I told you at a jam nyanga. I'm not saying that maids should be so familiar with their bosses, but what I'm saying is that the aspect of empathy should be taken into consideration. When I employ you in organizations, we are told about these things, being empathetic, being sympathetic. Women by nature are emotional. You know, we get emotional and stuff like that. So if even someone that is not doing fine, if I see that my maid is not doing fine, why not sit her down? Nasha notice mukuba or mumatenga tuntupokomboka. What is the problem? Why am I not getting it right? She will tell you at me, I'm keeping 10 people kunyumba.
True.
You see? But now I fired her. I choke a chabe. Really?
You know, speaking of that, I remember reading a comment in one of these women's group on social media, and they were talking about house helps and some of the challenges that they have been finding with them. And one woman And I think her comment came under attack because she mentioned to say there is no way I am going to be feeding. And she, in her words, she said, there's no way I'm going to be feeding a fetus and its mother.
No.
Because she discovered that her help was pregnant. And she said, I can't be feeding you and your child. So I fired her. So, you know, she came under attack. She said, but you are a woman. In fact, maybe those sentiments would have been better to come from your husband, unlike you. Because are you ever fired for being pregnant at work? So even with her, it's the same thing. That's her job. That's her source of livelihood. And unless maybe you say, because what happens most of the times if a household is expecting, you find that if she has somebody that can work for her in the meantime while she's put to bed, then so that she secures her job. But you see, it was so disheartening, it was so painful to see that a fellow woman would subject another woman because she's pregnant, like she also will never deliver or doesn't have children. It was a sad situation, and it comes back to the point that you're trying to put across to say we should show more empathy, because you never know where life takes you, and you never know which shoes you have to fill and how you expect somebody else to treat you. So the same way you want to be treated is the same way that you should treat your fellow woman.
I'm glad that you've actually stretched out. There are so many, but to my point, to my sub points from the explanation. But let's get to what would you recommend on the factors bordering around women in both formal and informal sectors?
Okay, so it's we'll segment it in two. We'll start with the formal, and then we'll start with the informal, and then we'll go down actually three to I don't know that I would call them informal, or those that are just barely not doing anything. In the formal sector, I feel women are really trying. You know, we are actually more on the maybe slightly above 50-50 thing, because if you look at most of these top positions in most companies, they are being managed by women. And then so from that point of view, you are able to tell that in the formal sector it's easy for you, because most of the women are now going back to school, and you know, the education itself and the experience that they acquire is making them being able to compete at that level. So when we talk about formal, you know, type of employment, I think there is much improvement as opposed to what we used to see back then, where you say, first your boss, education has really helped from those ends, and I think it's a good indication that we are heading to the right direction. When we come to the informal sector, where we have most of these that, you know, are trying to do business at a very small scale, or trying to make ends meet. If you go, let's say, at Kamala Market, you find that 11 women will be into Salaola business and there'll be one man. You see what I mean? If you go to Mutendere Market, you'll find that there are 20 women selling and maybe 2 men. So there is a bit of an imbalance. We are trying to make more research as to why that is so. Because if the formal sector is able to balance it up, we know that the solution is education. You see what I mean? But then for those that have not gone to school, you do not need to go to school to sell tomatoes. You do not need to go to school to sell salawon. But it's maybe you've been given some knowledge to say, okay, ukagrisako vaso zepezako profit and stuff like that. So we are trying, as the House of Women Foundation, we are trying to establish where the problem is. If we are having like 50 or 55 against 45 on women and informal, why is it that in the informal we are not having more men? So like I said, we are not here to talk about the male. We are not here to talk about the men. We are here to talk about us women. So on the women's point of view, I think there's an aspect of really trying to extremely work hard, extremely, you know, reaching to that point that you really want things to work for you. That's hustle, actually, you know, because when you wake up in the morning, maybe if you're going into town at 5, you find that when atuma basket, when kuma order and stuff like that, you see. So women are really trying to make ends meet. Not that the men are not helping. They might be able to help in their own way, but since we are talking about women here, I feel that women are really making strides, both in the formal and in the informal sphere.
Great. Lucelia, as we wind up, I can see our clock is ticking.
Yes, time is not with us, so this is actually where we will have to say our goodbyes.
Yes.
But before we do that,
Women's Day message.
Your Women's Day message as we close.
30 seconds.
Under 30 seconds.
Okay, so happy Women's Day to all the women out there. We have other women that are facing a lot of challenges right now. For instance, Alexis May's mother is quite traumatized with what is happening. Our prayers should be with them. We might not all financially go there and help out, but I mean, as you kneel down to pray for your things, let's remember every other woman. Maternal deaths, also those issues as well. Every woman that is facing challenges on this day, in as much as we are celebrating you for your, your courage and your strength. So keep soldiering on, keep moving on, and as the Hustle of a Woman Foundation, we are praying for you, and we are just going to work together to make this thing work.
So if there's anyone who would love to join Hustle of a Woman Foundation, what do they need to do? They need to call, phone number, email, or Facebook platform?
They can actually follow us on Facebook, and then our number is there, and then our location as well. So yeah, let them follow us on Facebook, and due to the interest of time, we might go in details. So let them follow us on,
Well, my special message today is continue being amazing. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Harness what you're good at. Find your niche in life as a woman. Find that very thing that makes you outstanding. That's what's going to set you apart. And I'll always say that your gift, like the Bible says, is exactly what is going to make room for you in this world. There's a place for all of us. The sky is big. We can all shine.
Oh yeah, and special message coming from me is that continue being awesome, and always remember that you are a unique human being, made very special. And yes, of course, and the future is female. You can do what you want to do. Dreams are free. Make sure that you strive to achieve them. Set those goals. If you fail, you only fail if you actually don't try again. But if you continue trying, then you are destined for greatness, as my boss would say. Well, from me and the entire crew, thank you so much for coming through. The comments and the calls that came through, Mr. Malundu on the other side, Mr. Munungwe up there, thank you so much. And also to everybody that was tuned. Happy International Women's Day once again. Thank you, and have a beautiful good afternoon.
Elo ine batata bampala bamayo bampala elo lesa wasumina muyo ampala masomo wenda aine nikole bigoko kashimu kwenda kwesu nangwe vindu vivipe nangwe vindu vikose kaleleza the blessing winds.
Elo Yesu afile asende le fiancé ubuchushi asenda elo noma afila mwana wanji oh nakupala kale I am blessed for life, you are blessed for life, we are the seed of Abraham. Even in the period of famine, our seed will germinate. Oh, the storm is not
malembe malembe Dori awete wanga twa balwa fie yelele ah yes umulilo wakula kukwete na mano walomwa kukwete nembalo ni balomba kukwete ah malembe tukachula ngazwa atite vya kusamba kwa balwa vye bana etwa balwa vye twa balwa vye twa balwa vye twa balwa vye twa balwa vye Glory the producer Hallelujah Saliranda pochimo pamwa wesu ifya kwisa na fise twali parogale Sokole mabaya wale sagu konke Rabichimanga
Blessings follow me, they follow me. Blessings follow me, and they follow me. Blessings follow me, yeah.
Praise the Lord, my sister.
Yeah, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I'm blessed for life. I'm blessed. I'm blessed for life. I'm blessed for life.
It's a concluded matter that we are blessed. That's all. Nafusto Bwavi Kako. Kolonga neni toka nensansa. Malembe. Na pesa respect.
Mother, for all that you have been and for all that you are, I thank you. And with all that I am, I love you. This one is for you. Mayo, nimwe inyali andi pano panshi.